cycle 2 of the major blues scale, an in-depth look. So on the previous video, I demonstrated one iteration playing the guitar on major blues scale cycle 2. This video, I'm going to explain the process by which I write out the entire cycle. After you've been able to do this, you might find that you can get away with not writing it down if you have it memorized, and you can just memorize the formula at the top and then apply that to your practice of doing the cycle for 10 minutes a day. So here we go. Start out with we got B, over here, B, D flat, E flat, F, G, and A. Major blues scale. And we're going to cycle all the way through that. And once we get to A, if we go up a whole step from that, we're getting all the way back to B again. And in fact, in the same inversion, or from the same starting pitch. Now, the formula up here describes what you'll see in the first two, and actually in the subsequent. And I'll explain that now. Starting from the low pitch, B, that's represented by R. That means root. B is the root. C sharp is the second. D is the flat third. D sharp is the third. F sharp is the fifth. G sharp is the sixth. The formula is kind of in the middle here. So the root goes down by a half step. That's B, and that's going down to B flat. The second stays the same, C sharp, and there's D flat, and harmonically, same pitch. The flat third is D. That goes goes up by half step and becomes the second. So D goes to E flat, and yeah, that's the second here. So D flat, the second is E flat. The major third is, D natural. That goes up by half step. It's going to go to E, and that's the flat third of D flat. Yep, that's right there. And so then the fifth is F sharp. That's going down one half step, minus one half. That's going to become the third, which is F. Yep, that's the third of D flat. And six, that's a G sharp. That's a sixth of B. So that goes down, or that stays the same, goes straight across, and it becomes the fifth. And instead of calling it G sharp, we're calling it A flat, because it's the fifth of D flat. And so that's the first step from going from B to D flat. And now the next one we have to go to is E flat. And from there, let's see, the B flat looks like it stays in the bottom. Now we have this inversion here now for this. B flat is the root, or no, it's not the root, it's the starting pitch. It's the lowest note. The root is actually D flat. The B flat is the sixth. So now we're gonna take this B flat as being the sixth, and we're gonna take the same exact formula and plug it in over here. So for the sixth, that goes straight across, and that becomes the fifth. So there we go. B flat goes right over and becomes the fifth of E flat. All right. So we wouldn't even have to know that the next one is E flat if we were to just take these six notes and then apply this formula. Then we'll get the next set, and then we'll figure out that's E flat blues. And there's other ways to think about it, and then we'll go over that in a minute. So B flat. Let's see the next one in this one. That's the sixth. The D flat. Well, that's the root, obviously here. So that's going down a half step, and that's going down to C. Yeah. And the next note in here, E flat. That's the second. That's going to become the root. Oh yeah, that makes sense. E flat's the root. That's right here. And the next one in here, E. That's the flat third, or the sharp nine, however you want to call it, and that goes up half step. So that's going to go up to E. That's going to go up to F. That's going to become the second. Yeah. The next note is the major third. That's F here, and that goes up by a half step, right? Yeah. So the major third goes up to become the flat third, and yeah, F sharp. Yeah, that's the flat third from E flat. It's actually, this is a sharp 9. So a sharp 9 and a flat third are equivalent anharmonically. The next note we have in here is the, let's see, we went over the third and then the fifth. Or wait, we got the major third and the fifth. Yeah, the fifth is the last one here. So that's A flat, and that goes down to by a half step. Right, so that becomes the third. Is G the third of E flat? Yeah, that works. Okay, good. So I did everything right on that. I wrote it correctly. And you know, we can double check and make sure if that's an E flat blues scale right here. B flat, C, E flat, F, F sharp, and G. Yep, that's an E flat major blues. And the next one we've got in this series is F. And how are we going to get there? Well, we're going to use the same formula. So how do we do that? Look at the fifth, look at the bass note here, the root, not the root, the lowest note. It's B flat, that's the fifth of E flat. So we look up here, where's the fifth? Goes down a half step. Okay, so we take that and we lower that down, and then we'd write an A, which I've already done, and that's A. So that's, the fifth goes down and becomes a third. Is A the third of F? Yeah, that's right. Okay, good. So C is the next one. C is the, what? It's the sixth. Well, that stays the same, and it becomes the fifth of F. Alright? And the next note is B flat. Sorry, E flat. That's E flat. That's the root right here. Goes down by a half step and becomes the sixth. And that's D. Yeah, correct. And then second, that should be F. Right? It's the next note, and that stays the same, and that's the root of the next scale. The flat third should be our next note. F. Right, that's the flat third. No, that's the second. Sorry, the flat third is the F sharp, sharp 9. That one goes up by a half step and becomes G, and that's becomes the second. And the next note is the major third, which is G, and major third goes up by a half step to become the flat third. G goes up to G sharp, and yeah, G sharp is, well, it's a flat sharp 9, so that's right. Okay, so we're almost done. I'm going to continue talking you through this because it's valuable. And the next one we have is G, so we're going to go from F to G. The lowest note is A. That is the third, and that goes up by a half step to become the flat third. Yeah, A goes to B flat, which is the flat third of G. And so we're starting this scale, or this mode, the major blues scale, from the flat third. And the next note here is C. That's the fifth. Look over here. The fifth goes up by down by a half step to become the third. So C goes down by a half step to become the major third. Right. The next note we have here is D, and D is the sixth, and that's going to become the fifth. Yeah. Oh yeah. D is definitely the fifth of G. And the next note is F. Well, that's the root. That's right here. That's the root of F major blues. That goes down by a half step, and that's going to become the sixth. So F goes down to E, and E is, yeah, that's the sixth. Okay. The next note is the second. That's the next note is G. That's the second. That goes across, straight across, same pitch. That's the root. Yeah, that's the root of G, definitely. Okay, the next note is G sharp. Well, that can't be the same because there's no G sharp in a G blues scale. So for F blues scale, the G sharp was the flat third, or sharp 9. And so that one has to go up by a half step. And the flat third goes up by a half step on that. So that's going to become the second. So the G sharp goes up by a half step and it becomes A, which, yeah, that's the second of G, so that works. Almost there. Getting dark. Next one. Okay, so G. The lowest note is B flat. That's a sharp 9 or flat third. Okay, so go over here. That goes up by a half step. B flat goes up to A, and B flat goes up to B, not A. Yeah, B. That's a B right there. And is that the second? Yes, it is. Second. Yes, that's right. A, B. That's the second. Next note, B. That's the major third, which goes up a half step to become the flat third. Yeah, C is the flat third of A. The next note is D. That's the fifth. The fifth goes down by a half step to become the third. D goes down to C sharp. Right. Next note is E in this column. E is the sixth. That's going to become the fifth. Yeah, E is definitely the fifth of A. And the next note is G. That's the root. That goes down a half step, right? That goes down to F sharp. That's the sixth, right? Next note is A. That's the second, right here. Second becomes the root. And yeah, so A is the second of G, and that's definitely the root of A. So that's the pattern. Now, when we get to A, we can apply the same pattern. Okay, so B is what? That's the second we just talked about. And so that's going to become the root of the next scale. And so that would be, in the series, A goes in a whole step from A. The next root is B, and that's written out over here. So B is the root of the next scale. So the second of A doesn't change in pitch, and it becomes the root of B. The flat third of A is C at the flat third. That goes up by a half step to C sharp, and this is the second of B. The C sharp of A is the major third, and that goes up by a half step to D, which is the flat third of B. All right. The E is the fifth. That goes down by a half step to D sharp, and that's the third of B. Yeah, down by a half step, and that's the third, right? Okay, next one, F sharp is the sixth. Okay, so that's got to become the same pitch. It just doesn't change. That's going to be the fifth. Yeah, there it is, F sharp, the fifth of B. Next one, A. That's the root of A, and that goes down by a half step to become the sixth. Over here we see G sharp, and yeah, that's definitely the sixth of B. So the assignment here, which is missing, is to write the roots down for all of the other 6 notes in the chromatic scale. C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, B flat. Write down the formula and write out the cycle. Play through it. You don't have to do it in time. Just make sure you get the right notes of each scale. Then play through it in time. Do it as slowly as slow as you need. It doesn't matter the tempo, just in time. And you can go from, maybe 48 beats a minute, eighth notes. If that's too challenging, then do 60 beats per minute at quarter notes. Slow as you need to do it. Just stay focused on it. Not so slowly that you lose focus, but it's challenging. But after you get used to it, the scale patterns start to look more familiar, and then once they become almost automatic, then you can kind of forget about this exercise, because the idea is to get you to think about the notes and speed up the thinking process. One more time, there's the formula.